안녕 친구들, this is going to be my third video tonight and I think that's it. After this, I'm going to upload and then watch episode 18 and hopefully get the blog post done, and then the video recap for episode 18 will have to wait until Wednesday. So, 안녕. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. We pick up where we left off on episode, 15, with Yeol disappearing from the academy. Well, Kangchi hears about it and he suspects that it's Woryong, and so he tells Tam Pyongjun and then he takes off running into the forest. And then while he's doing that, Kwon is kind of coordinating a search party with all of the soldiers as well. Well, what we actually find out though is that Yeol had been kidnapped by Cho Gun-eung's men. You know, the head ninja guy. I forget his name, Saw something, right? And so they blindfold her, they gag her, and then they put her down, and pretty much Yeol says, who are you, and things like that. And so pretty much he doesn't really say he's part of Chogonung, but I believe if memory serves, he tells his men that he was commanded to take what was most precious from Tam Pyongjun, and make him really pay for insulting Chogonung. Remember, there were two instances, right, where Tam Pyongjun had said the first time when Chogonung had come to visit the academy, and Tam Pyongjun had told one of his servants to throw salt to kind of ward off the bad stench or the bad spirits or whatnot, right? Saying Chogonung was bad luck and kind of pumapamjo and all that stuff. And then the second time, of course, was recently from episode 15 when Kangchi had defended Lee, and then Tam Pyongjun had come in front and said if anyone ever causes trouble again like this, they'll have to deal with me. And so Cho Gun-eung had apparently commissioned or ordered his head henchmen to go and capture what Tam Pyongjun treasures the most, which is his daughter. So they're about to kill her, and it's kind of funny. The head henchman, he leaves three of them in charge and says, "Hey, finish up the loose ends. I'm gonna head on out." Well, it's so awesome because Yeol, even though she's blindfolded and tied, she is able to still defend herself a little bit. But she does fall down at one point, and you think, oh no, it's finally that time. She's gonna get hurt. Because she's not going to die. She's the main, she's one of the main leads. But she then, because you think, oh no, she's going to get hurt. And guess who should arrive? Yes, Woryong. And so it's so awesome. I'm not usually this bloodthirsty, but I was like, yes! And Woryong basically he kills them all. Okay? And what's really cool is the head ninja guy, he sees all this from afar because he hadn't left yet. And he looks and he's like, oh my gosh, and he sees Woryong in beast form. He's like, all right, let's head on out because this is a guy that we cannot deal with, right? And awesome thing is, Woryong is able to see that and he goes zipping out, and then he kind of makes peace meat, or basically he kills the other guys, right? Or so we think. Now, what's funny is that before Woryong realizes that Seo is there, the head ninja guy, he's able to I guess, unblindfold Yeol, and he's like, I thought it might have been you, right? And he says some other stuff that I forget, but anyway, Yeol is really frightened of him at this point now, right? Especially because he knows that Kangchi's father was killed by her father and things like that. And I can't remember if it's at this moment where he reveals to her that he is Kangchi's father, or if it's at a later moment. But in any case, as he's talking with her, that's when Woryong realizes that the head ninja guy and his other minions are there. And so it's so cool because as the head ninja guy is like trying to run away, right? Woryong literally kind of like speed mode appears right in front of them, and then he starts to attack. And as the soldiers are screaming in anguish, Yeol takes that opportunity and runs away. And she runs through the forest, and then Woryong catches up with her and he says, were you trying to run away from me, right? Were you trying to run away? And I got the sense that there was had Kangchi not shown up, that there would have been some really good, deep conversation, epiphanies that would have arisen. But anyway, Kangchi does show up, and he's like, get your hands off of her, and, leave her alone, that type of thing. And then it's awesome because Papa Kumio and Son Kumio, they start fighting, and Woryong basically tells Kangchi, you can't fight me. I'm always gonna win. And it's so true. Kangchi totally gets his butt kicked, right? And during that time, Yeol is just watching, and at one point, Woryong tells Kangchi, give up your desire to become a human being, right? And he has kind of Yeol in kind of I can't remember if he has her in a clasp or something. And Yeol says, because Woryong says, if you do, I'll save her. I'll spare her life. And even though he's threatening death, Woryong is threatening to kill her. Yeol is like, no, Kangchi, no, you can never give up your hopes to become human. And it's so cool because Woryong at that point flips her around and he's like, be quiet, right? Because he really doesn't want Kangchi to have to deal with the betrayal and the hurt and the disappointment and all of that, right? Well, basically at some point though, Kangchi pretty much separates Yeol from Woryong, and at one point he says something so poignant that it shocks Woryong and puts an end effectively to the fight. And what it was towards the end of their fight when Kangchi literally was losing, and Kangchi's in between Yeol and Woryong, and he literally says, kind of with tears running down his eyes, he's like, she's my woman, leave her alone. And he says saram, but the loose translation in English is that she's my woman, leave her alone, right? And when Kangchi says that, it shocks Woryong, and Choi Jin-wook does such a great job of portraying that shock, because you have to remember when Woryong was reincarnated as the 1,000-year curse, demon, he doesn't remember a lot of the good things. He only remembers all the bad things and the desire to kill and things like that. Or if he does remember at all, right? And that's supposed to be one of the characteristics of evil spirits, is that there's no memory and it's just all malice and evil that they know. Well, when Kangchi says that, though, leave my woman alone, she's my woman, leave her alone, it triggers a memory in Woryong, and he's taken back into a flashback of when Solo was ripped away from him and he was trying to protect her and all of that. And the look on his face is just one of stunned remembrance and anguish, and as he's just frozen there, the wind starts blowing. And this is what I think characterizes Kangchi. Instead of facing Woryong, who is still a threat, Kangchi turns his back on Woryong in order to protect and shield Yeol from all of the wind, right? Well, when they lift up after the wind subsides, it's to find that Woryong is no longer there. And then what's hilarious, yes, for those of you who like teenage romance and such, well, they're not teenagers really, but the two totally make out in the forest. That's all I can say. And what's really even funny about their little kissing session, and they finally kiss, right? Nothing like danger to kind of get Kangchi to finally confess his feelings for Yeol. Oh, speaking of which, the beginning of episode 17 really started beautifully, because Kangchi in voiceover says, I don't know why I didn't answer your question when you first asked me. And it goes back to the early morning dawn after the Lantern Festival, when Kangchi had left Cheongjo and, walked back, and he had seen Yeol there, right? And Yeol had asked him, Cheongjo's the most important person in your life, huh? And that fact is never going to change, huh? And, Kangchi's voiceover at the beginning of episode 17 had said, I don't know why I didn't tell you. And then, implying, of course, that she now is the most important person in his life. Well, anyway, so he tells her, and then he kisses her. And then what's so funny is, when they're done, Yeol looks at Kangchi and then she kisses him, and it's just so symbolic of the fact that both of them are on equal terms with each other. They give tit for tat kind of thing, equally matched in terms of romance. Neither of them are really experienced in that. They're both great fighters and, all of this stuff. So anyway, They end up kissing and it's hilarious. There's all this like huge makeout session in the forest. Well, by the time they get back, uh-oh, I can't, sorry, my pictures have stopped. I needed to refresh my pictures to remind myself. Sorry. Oh, while they're kissing, they're like kumyo fireflies are all over the forest. Anyway, that morning, what's interesting is Chogonon goes to see the older Sawa, who is completely veiled, and Sawa says that she wants to buy Tessel as a slave, and in exchange she also wants the 100-year inn and a whole bunch of other things, and she really makes Chogonon really mad. So Chogonon gets up and he literally swipes at the curtain that was separating them, and he just wants to see what this widow looks like, right? Because he has a feeling that she's someone that he may know. And just as he does that, her guards kind of try to obscure his view, and then Sawa turns her face so that Chogono only sees really a slight profile of her, right? Well, anyway, that morning it's so funny because Kangchi and Yeol, dressed again as a girl, are in front of the dad, and I think they tell the dad that it's not Woryong, but that it might be, well, Kwon suspects that it might be Chogunung's men because Kangchi and I think Sawa, not Sawa, but Yeol, I think if memory serves, they tell him that it wasn't Woryong, right? Anyway, so it's funny because in front of Tan Pyeongjun they start squabbling. They like fight each other, and they basically have this fight. And so Kwon and Tan Pyeongjun are like, "Did something happen in the forest?" And then literally, as they stalk out, once they're in the clear, Yeol and Kangchi like totally break into smiles, and they're like, "Do you think they bought it? Do you think they bought our fight?" And the goal is that they'll fight enough that the dad will feel like they're no longer a threat to, I guess that he no longer has to worry about them being lovey-dovey, and then he'll release Yeol from the, house arrest or the room arrest, right? Well, Kwon comes out, and then when they realize Kwon's watching them, they pick up on the fighting again, and Kwon just kind of looks at them a little bit funny, right? So Kangchi goes into the kitchen and he's smiling, and then the kitchen master's like, "What are you smiling about? Are you in love? Are you smiling about Yeol?" And then Kangchi's like, "Oh no, no, no! Didn't you hear? I had a huge fight with her." And there are a lot of cute scenes in this episode, and that's what's really kind of interesting about this episode. So many incredibly cute scenes, but I felt as though the episode lacked a certain cohesion. I felt like the first half was all about Woryong, and then the second half was about Sawa and Chogonung and Chongjo and Taeseo, and it was really weird. It didn't have quite the cohesion that I was expecting, to bring it all together. Anyway, so Chogonung refuses Sawa's offer to buy Taeseo. And in the meantime, it's so cute because while Yeol is learning how to sew and stuff like that, Kangchi shows up for training, and he's trying to learn. And Kwon's like, "Why are you here?" And Kangchi's like, "I think, I need to train." And Kwon's like, "You have your superpowers. Go, practice your superpowers." And, the kitchen master had mentioned this, and Kwon mentions this too now. But he's like, now that things are resolved, shouldn't you go out of the academy now and kind of make your way? And Kangchi says, "Oh, no, there's still more that I need to learn." And part of the reason is, number one, he wants to stay in the academy closer to Yeol, of course. But second thing is he remembers his fight with Woryong, and he knows that physically he's not strong enough. He needs to learn more in terms of martial arts and skills. So a part of him wants to stay for that. Well, Yeol ends up, while Kangchi's practicing and doing all sorts of things, Yeol hears from Song that Taeseo has visited and wants to talk with her, and so she goes rushing out, and she goes, "Taesong and all this stuff," and they're talking. And honestly, I think Yeol forgets that she is betrothed to Taeseo, because as they're talking, Yeol finds out that Kwon is planning this mission without her and Kangchi to infiltrate the 100-year inn, right? And so she tells Tessel, can you believe that? They've left both me and Kangchi out. And Tessel actually tells her, I'm glad. And she's like, why? Is it because I'm a woman? And he's like, yeah, but you're also my betrothed, and I wouldn't want anything to happen to you. And at that point, she starts to realize that Tessel thinks a little bit more about her. And if she wasn't sure before that conversation, she certainly is sure at the end of that conversation, because Tessel then continues by saying, I know that right now I'm not worthy of that position, but I think that might be why your father also announced it so suddenly, this betrothal between us, so that I would have something to work hard for and to survive and live for. And Yo just kind of looks at him, and Tessel continues, because you are definitely reason enough for me to keep fighting and fight to live. And Yo is just like, whoa, right? And what's interesting is Kangchi is kind of far away, but he's close enough that he can see them talking, but far away that he doesn't quite know what they're talking about, perhaps. And as Kangchi turns around to walk away, he sees Kwon watching him, and Kwon says, yeah, this is about your place. And Kangchi's like, what do you mean? And he's like, this is the distance that you need to keep, because you know that she's not meant for you. And it's so sad, because as Kwon's saying that to Kangchi, you realize Kwon's really speaking from experience. That's his own story, because he knows that Yeol was someone that he could never, he placed a distance because he knew that he couldn't get close to her. And so it was just really sad. And so Kangchi goes to the kitchen very dejectedly, sweeping, and it's so cute because Yeol then pounces in, and she's like, Kangchi, and she's like, can you believe that? Did you hear they're planning this mission without you and me? And Kangchi was like, oh, well, did you have a good talk with Tessel? And Yeol's like, how did you know I met with Tessel? And she's like, are you jealous? And there's this like cute little moment, and Yeol confesses to Kangchi that she's never felt like this about anyone either, and so they're in the same boat. And she's like, why are you jealous? It's so cute how she says that, though, because even though she's teasing Kangchi about being jealous, when Kangchi says, oh no, and she can sense that Kangchi's really vulnerable, she says, why would you be jealous? Because only people who can't have stuff are jealous. Like, people are only jealous when they don't have it. And she's like, but you already have me, so why are you jealous? And, things like that are definitely affirmations for Kangchi, right? So anyway, it's so cute because they arrange to, both Kangchi and Yeol arrange so that they can be part of this little mission to infiltrate the 100-year inn, right? And that evening, Suryeon had arranged with Cho Won-ung to have a party at the 100-year inn as a way of compensation to the Japanese widow for the lantern festival, and so they were going to entertain them later that night. And so that was the excuse that they were going to go in and kind of find out secrets and things like that, right? Well, it's so funny because Yeol sweet talks her etiquette teacher into taking her shopping, and the etiquette teacher was like, no, your father's not here, we're going to stay here. And then Yeol was like, well, then you're only just causing me to tie you up again and escape. It's so cute. And then so Yeol goes into the village with her. In the meanwhile, Kangchi sneaks into one of the soldiers' rooms and takes one of the black suits, right? Their little ninja outfits. And the arrangement was for them to meet at some place in the village. Well, before Yeol can actually meet up with Kangchi, though, she runs into Cheongjo. And Cheongjo really, I don't know, I think her jealousy is starting to really take effect, because Cheongjo, Yeol is very open with her, and Cheongjo says something to the effect of, Kangchi's very loyal, and she pretty much insinuates that Kangchi will come anytime Cheongjo beckons him, that she always has the most important place in Kangchi's heart, and all of this stuff. And she leaves Yeol, who, is a little bit insecure about being in a relationship, with some concern about what her place is in Kangchi's life, right? And so, anyway, she meets up with Kangchi, and then they go, and of course, Kwon's like, what are you two doing? and because Kwon realizes that they're there to crash their party. And so Kangchi lays out the plan. He's like, I love the language too. He's like, who better than to infiltrate the 100-year inn and know all the ins and outs of, and he's like listing how many like rooms there are and things like that. And Yeol is standing right by him and he goes, also? We're still, which means that's right, right? And then Kwon points out, yes, but if you get caught, then that's Admiral Lee's butt on the line again. And then Kangchi's like, of course, and who would know all the great secret hiding places and passageways and things like that? And he lists how many there are and stuff in the inn. And then Yeol in the right next to him is like, we're so, right? It's so cute. Anyway, so Kwon finally relents and says, fine, just don't get caught. And so they split up. And Yeol is supposed to do her research with Kwon, and then the other two soldiers who came with them are sent off to one place, and then Kangchi's going to go alone and go somewhere, right? Well, it's so funny because he kind of infiltrates one of the little groups of the soldiers, the little Japanese soldiers or ninjas who are there. And so as he's kind of about to go into like a room, those three of the soldiers ask something in Japanese, right? And Kangchi's look of like, it's hilarious. And then he flashes back to a conversation he had with Yeol at the village, where Yeol says, okay, for our mission today, you only need to know two things. And Kangchi's like, what? Because Kangchi doesn't speak Japanese. And Yeol says, hi, if you want to say it. She's like, if it sounds like a command, just say hi, like, yes, right? And then she's like, if it sounds like a question, then you're going to go like this and go, no. So Kangchi at that point is trying to decipher whether the soldier has asked him a question or a command, right? And the soldier had said, what are you doing? Why don't you go in, right? And the guy's like, no. And so the soldier's like, what an idiot. And then he goes marching in, right? Well, Kangchi follows, and he then sees a group of the black-dressed ninja guys, and they're kind of covered masked, which is why Kangchi's identity isn't revealed yet. Well, Kangchi soon finds out that the soldiers have been sent throughout the mountainside to create a map of the mountainside. And before he can do anything, though, one of the soldiers mentions to the head guy, I think there's someone in our midst who isn't part of our group. And so the head guy makes everyone take off their mask. Okay. Speaking of head guy, I did forget to mention. Do you remember when the head ninja of Chogunung's head ninja, remember saw something? Remember how Woryong had like killed all his men, right? And yes, I was a little bloodthirsty. I was like, yes, finally, that weird, head ninja is getting killed. We see him still alive, so of course we can't kill the, super villain human guy, right? But anyway, so there's that. I forgot to mention that he's still alive. He just doesn't show it for the rest of the episode. Anyway, so going back to the whole Japanese ninja guys. They're not ninjas, but I'm just going to call them ninjas, okay? Anyway, so he then tells everyone to take off their mask. And Kangchi, I kid you not, right into that, he goes, no. And then he starts, fighting, right? Well, he escapes, and the way he does that, it's really, you're kind of like, oh, he can, wolf out at this point, I guess. Or kumio out, I guess is the phrase. But he takes off his bracelet, and then his eyes flash, and then he starts to fight. Well, Yeol and Kwon hear the growl and the fighting, so you know that they're going to backtrack. Well, in the meantime, what's happened is the dinner party has already happened, and Sawa had said she realized that Chogunung was really dead set on seeing her face. So she told her guy, well, if he wants to see my face, we'll just show him my face. And so during the meal, Suryeon is there, the headmistress of the brothel, and then Chogunung, and both of them are watching as finally Chogunung kind of goads Sawa into unmasking herself or unveiling herself, because he was saying, when I do business, it's only proper etiquette to see someone's face, right? He's like, why don't you show me your face? And so finally the woman takes off her veil, and it's not Sawa. So they had an imposter sit in, and her right-hand guy was saying in Korean to Chogunung, my mistress doesn't like to really go out in public because she's really shy. And that explains why she's not talking during the dinner either, right? So anyway, when they see that face, Chogonung is like, oh, it's a face I've never seen before, and Suryon's like, it's not Seoa. So, we're left with that. Well, anyway, as Kangchi is running away, the dinner party has dispersed, of course, and actually, dinner party is still ongoing. The real Seoa is in her bed chambers, though, kind of waiting for the dinner party to end. Well, Kangchi slips inside her room to try to avoid capture, and the ninja guys realize that he's gone into that one area. So they stop because they don't want to go into their mistress's, quarters. And what the episode ends on is Kangchi turning around slowly as Seoa with candlestick and dagger in hand is like, who's there? And she says that in Japanese, right? And so that's how it ends. So it's kind of cool that Kangchi got to see dad in the first half and then mom in the second half, although he doesn't quite know that, it's them. And just a lot of cute moments. I love Yo's Urso. Watch it again. It's so adorable. Anyway, I'm going to end it here. It is 26 minutes, so I hope this recap made a little bit more sense. I felt like a recap of 15 was a blur, and of course, I only took 8 minutes or so. 16 I thought was a little bit better, right? And then 17, I hope it made sense for you all. So take care, everyone. I will be back tomorrow, hopefully, with the recap of episode 18. I'm going to try to watch a little bit tonight while I do some more grading, and then upload a blog post, and then I will see you tomorrow. So take care, everyone. Bye.